When you ride as much as we do here on a variety of different bikes, in a variety of different conditions, versatility is a big part of any of your motorcycle gear. I can think of very few helmets that are more versatile than the Arai Tour-X. Previously the Tour-X4, now the Tour-X5, which has a host of different improvements across it, but it still uses the same winning formula of the previous version. And when I say versatility, this is a great helmet if you are the type of person who occasionally gets to go off-road, similar to what we do here, where it's 90% on-road, maybe 10% off-road, or at least there are aspirations of doing 10% off-road, and you want a helmet that's going to work just as well in either setting. This might be the helmet for you in that circumstance. Because it has on-road aesthetics. If you were to take off the peak there, it looks more like a road riding helmet. If you include the peak, it's going to look a little bit more like an off-road lid. It's also going to block the sun from your vision, which is great when you're off-road. And it's got a big wide opening on the front there, so you can easily attach goggles even without taking off the visor or the peak, which is great. It's also got lots of ventilation across it as well. I think even Arai would say it has a bias towards using it on-road, but it is really capable off-road if you do get the chance to go and have a little bit of fun on the weekends. Now, being Arai, it does hold a premium. These are available for £599.99 as of the making of this video in the colorways you can see here, or if you want one of the graphics, it's £699.99. Probably the biggest change over the older version is the fact that these now meet ECE 2206 safety standards, the new safety standards. They're also ACU approved, as you can see from the gold sticker on the back. A word in Arai's favour though, they don't seem to struggle getting through the new stricter safety standards, and that's because they have their own in-house testing, and they've been doing that for decades. They have a very high standard when it comes to safety. And because of that, they've built an impressive reputation in the industry. And reputations are very hard to build, easily destroyed. So you can guarantee this has the same great quality we've come to expect from them with any of their other helmets. With ECE 2206 generally comes an increase in size, although I can't say I can notice a huge increase in size with these. Arai do tend to be a little bit larger than some other brands because obviously they are so durable, so safe, so solid. But like I say, not a huge difference between this and the old version. I think the weight increase as well that you typically expect with these new standards is there, but it's about 20 grams, I think, in terms of an increase over the previous version. So perfectly acceptable. And actually in Arai's lineup, it does feel relatively light in comparison to some of their offerings. I think if the sticker is to be believed on the back, it's around 1,700 grams. So slightly heavier than some other brands, but when it's on, you don't tend to notice that. It doesn't get in the way of your comfort necessarily. They still hold themselves really well on your head. There are a few visual changes over the previous version. Most notable is the chin bar, which is slightly less angular. It has been more rounded to improve glancing off qualities. I also think that improves the look ever so slightly over the previous version. You will notice as well they've gotten rid of two of the vents on the chin bar there, although it still has really good venting and breathability across the whole helmet. It has a flatter visor profile. The mechanism for getting off the peak is improved over the previous version, and the method for actually getting the visor off, in my opinion, is better than a lot of their other helmets. Say better, slightly less fiddly than some of the other helmets, and I'll get on to showing that in a few moments. I think it's also ever so slightly larger on the opening, and that is to aid getting on goggles, which you can do, as you can see from the white version there, very, very easily. So you can do that even with the visor installed and with the peak installed, so you don't need to take off anything, you can still get your goggles on there. Meaning that if you turn up to your gravel trail and you've been riding on the road, you've got it set in road configuration, and then you decide to pop up the visor and stick on some goggles instead, you can do that super quickly. It's really quick and convenient, and I definitely appreciate that. And another big change to the aesthetics, but also for functionality, is the peak, which has been redesigned so that it channels airflow better, so that it is going to be quieter than the previous peak. Although on that, anyone who's ridden with a peak will know that there is always going to be some amount of noise. This is one of the best that we've personally tested, but If you are riding the majority of your time on road and you just don't need that peak there, then for the sake of your audio comfort, you could take that off. Although we would always recommend with any helmet, to be honest, if you're doing high-speed motorway stuff regularly, maybe to invest in some earplugs anyway. It's available in 6 sizes. They do it in 3 different shell sizes. Medium, large are grouped together because they are the most common. That is handy. It means that medium and large shell sizes are exactly the same. You can tell that from these actually, because we have got a large on the table as well as 2 mediums. It uses their super fiber shell, which they say is 30% stronger than conventional fiberglass. And Arai do go for a hard outer shell design. Some other brands will go for a more flexible shell, and they tend to have a thicker EPS liner. Arai prefer to go for a really, really solid shell. It's probably one of the most solid in the industry that allows them to have a slightly more flexible EPS liner on the inside. And of course, they do go through Arai's stringent safety testing. It also has a peripheral belt across the brow section, which means that they can get away with a slightly thinner EPS section in that area, which allows for a greater field of view and improves your vision whilst wearing it. There's a variety of intake and exit vents across it. If we start with the exit vents at the back there, you can see that you have 2 holes there at the base of your head. You've also got this exit vent at the back, which you can open or close, and it's actually got 3 positions on there. The same is true on the top, so you can hold that in different positions as well. What I would say is that they are a little bit small, the switches. So if you're using gloves and trying to find them, it could be a little bit fiddly. Definitely you'll still be able to find where they are eventually, and the more you wear it, you'll get used to that. But I've definitely seen slightly easier vents on other helmets. The same is true of the peak there as well, and this is the same vent you'll find on the Arai Quantic. So basically you just pop that at the top of the logo there, and it again works really, really well. It's just a little bit small and fiddly to find. And then you've got 2 vents on the front there for your chin bar. So you've got one on the outside, one on the inside. So if you were to open the one on the outside and not the one on the inside, it will direct airflow to the visor to demist your visor. If you do open the one on the inside as well, then it will direct it to your face to help cool you down. But this isn't going to be a helmet that mists up too easily at all, because it does come with the newest and best version of pin lock. If you do like to couple it with goggles though, as you can see, it's very, very easy to do. So motorcycle goggles are getting bigger and bigger. Some of them are quite fiddly to fit with certain helmets. That's not a concern with this one at all. It's got a big wide opening on the front there. Obviously that's great for your vision, your very clear and wide field of view, but obviously you can also very easily fit your goggles. And I do think it does look better with the visor installed rather than taking off everything and just having that clean off-road look. I prefer having the visor on there as well as the goggles. It just means it's less fiddly taking things on and off ultimately. However, if you do want to detach things from your helmet, I'll show you exactly how you do that. And I wouldn't normally show it in full, but why not on this occasion? Let's treat you to the full experience of taking off these little plates on the side there, which is easy to do. Now you can do that with a screwdriver. If you've got a coin with you, it works just as well. I'm actually using a washer on this occasion because it does tend to be a little bit kinder to the plastic than using a skinny screwdriver. So like I say, if you've got a coin with you, really, really easy to do on the fly whilst you're out and about. And these plates you take off for the peak, but you'll reattach them once you've got that visor off, like so. So basically you would then reattach these plastic plates to the side there just to keep it nice and clean. And then you've got a slightly more clean looking design without the visor on there if you're using this on the road. And as I mentioned, if you're doing high speeds consistently, you might want to go for this design anyway because it would be slightly more aerodynamic. The visor doesn't have any ratchets in it, so it doesn't have any stops kind of midway along there. It is either open or closed, or then obviously just crack it ever so slightly. It will hold itself a little bit, but if you're doing higher speeds, it will eventually start to push it down again, although not fully closed. but not a huge problem for me and certainly not a deal breaker. Now, for my commutes, the helmet that I use is the Arai Rapide. So I am a fan of Arai for many different reasons. One thing I would say frustrates me about my helmet is the fiddliness of getting the visor off. You have to take the visor off and then attach it to the side plates and then attach the side plates. With this one, it is a little bit easier. There are other helmet brands that do it even quicker than this, but this is definitely an improvement for Arai in my opinion. Basically, you just press these little tabs down here, which will take off the side plates like so. And then once you've got those off, the visor comes off really, really easily. On the inside, you have a fully removable and washable liner. You've also got a double D-ring closure around your neck. Now, being ECE 2206 safety standard approved, it does mean it is mounted ever so slightly further back. It's to stop it from rolling around on your head. It makes it more secure ultimately, but I have found with newer helmets, I've had to loosen off the strap a little bit. This one actually does fit really well though. The liner is fully removable, and you might want to do what I did with mine actually, which is to tweak the cheek pieces. So you can get slightly larger cheek pieces if you need to. You can get replacements of these things. And what I went with is a large helmet, but then fitted the medium cheek pieces because I have quite hollow cheeks. So it just fits me slightly better in that way. But you can also adjust it using just their padding here. There's actually a little layer that you can take off, which adjusts it by 5mm. Do be careful if you're taking it off because you can't reapply it, but you can at least tweak this to get the perfect fit. And amongst all of our team, we have tried on lots of different helmets. There are certain brands that tend to be a bit more universal than others. Arai is certainly one of those, and it is one of the best fits we've found here. Thanks in part because you can adjust it so much. Now, if you look closely, you will also see pockets for an intercom or comms unit, which you can fit in there. So there's recesses so that the earpieces fit without pressing against your head, and it is very comfortable. It's also got underneath the neck roll a little section for hiding the cables, hiding the wires in there, which makes it a lot easier and neater to fit comms units to than some other helmets as well. And you'll see these pull tabs for the emergency services so that they can get the cheek pieces off even easier if you were to have a crash. There is also a small chin curtain included, which you can take out if you want. All in all, a fantastically versatile helmet from a company with a stellar reputation in the industry. It is one of our favorites. As a brand, we really like them anyway. Will actually chose this as his own personal helmet, so that proves how much we as a team like this, and it is one that I'm eyeing up for the future as well. Let us know what you think of this in the comments section. Check out the links in the description, and I'll see you soon.